Welcome back. It's Dawn at Red Barn, and what I'm doing today is taking some of the watercolors that I've been exploring in my color study, and I decided to do a negative space painting. If you don't know what that is where you paint everything except the subject. It's a reverse of what you would normally paint with watercolor or acrylic or anything really. And I was thinking that I fell in love with Rose of Ultramarine the other day. Yes, I have had to mark it on my plate so that I don't confuse it with Quinn Violet, which I did. Anyway, and you'll see how it, I already put a wash on this. So I thought I would do some, hearts. Valentine's is coming up, right? It's a month away. And so there's two ways you can do that. But let's start about how you start. Let's try to become untongue-tied. Let's discuss how you start, and that is I've glued this down to just an acrylic block that I have. I like it because I can move it around and it keeps the paper from getting waffly-weevily on you. And then how you do a negative space is you just do increasing layers of darkness in that same color. Ultimately at the end you may have to even add like a Payne's gray or a black or something, a sepia to it to get it super dark, and it'll become evident as we go forward. And the thumbnail will have that for you too. So what I did before I turned the camera on is I went ahead and taped the paper down to the acrylic block, and then I really washed out my Rose of Ultramarine and did a very faint wash. This looks white on camera, but I promise you it isn't. It is super, super pale pink, but that's what you want to start because that's the white. So this is how you start. So then the next step after this is completely dried down, which I did this earlier, is then you decide your subject. Now you can freehand hearts. You can get out some stencils and stencil hearts for your pattern. And what you probably want to do is draw, I'm probably going to do 3 of these to start. And then going after that, I may continue with this size or I may drop down. This is a great stencil. This is by Tim Holtz. It's it's right here at the top. Hello. THS017. This is an old one. This is back when he used to label them. You can see I've used it in the past, and acrylic, gold acrylic is on here, but you don't have to do this. You can freehand it. If you don't have any stencils, you can just pull out whatever stencils you have, use what you have. I have no idea what this one is or where I got it. I think it was probably in a pack with something else, and it kind of came as a freebie or something, but who knows. But anyway, I might just use a stencil this time, and don't be afraid to go off page with it. They don't all have to be on. I may do that later. I may start with these first 3 being, and I don't want them all squared up and whatever. I'm going to make them a little wonky. And you want to keep your pencil lines really faint, because once watercolor goes over it, or once you get, and that might be a little too dark. I'm trying to make it a little dark so you can see it. That might be too dark, but we'll figure it out here in a minute. And then if you make them too dark, you can always go back with a kneaded eraser or whatever and knock them back a bit. But I'm going to start with 3. Just kind of winging it here, as you can tell. Don't really have a plan, just I know I enjoy doing these, so I'm going to, and then this one I think I might just have come off the page. But I might have part of it on, just so you can, maybe over here. Yeah. Little thirds and all of that. Okay, so then we're going to go there. Oops, forgot this little wonky piece. Okay, so 3 hearts are on. What I'm going to do now is I am going to knock it back with a little eraser. And you can use a number 2 eraser, whatever you have. I just, I need to know where not to paint. So everywhere this heart shape is, I am not painting the heart. That's why they call it negative space, because you're painting the space around the heart, not the heart itself. So knock back that pencil so you can see it. And I apologize if you can't see it very well on the screen, but it is barely there. It's faintly there, but that's all you really want, okay? And then I'm going to get a pretty big brush. This is a Princeton Neptune 6. This puppy holds a lot of water. She is thirsty girl. So I'm going to dip her in some water. And I am going to get my Rose of Ultramarine going. And we're going to put, so the goal of this next wash is to go just a tad darker than the previous. We don't want to go full strength. We still want to keep this fairly light. And with each successive layer, we get a bit darker. So we're going to put this on and see how we do. I am going what's called wet on dry because the paper is dry. And I think that's a little too dark, frankly. So I'm going to put a little more water on my brush and water that down a bit. And then as I get going in further layers, I'm probably going to switch to a smaller brush. Because you can't get into tight spaces as we start adding more and more hearts. You'll see what I mean. But the goal here for me is to make sure those pencil lines are covered without losing the shape of the heart, and to keep a medium-ish wash. Don't get too dark with the pink, the Rose of Ultramarine, because then you have nowhere to go. Then you got black as you keep going, because I'm going to shoot for about 4 or 5 layers. So you can't go too dark out the gate. I'm wondering if this is too dark, but it always dries down a bit lighter than what you're, oops, my tape is not sticking. I am determined to purge some of my less than adequate washi tape this year that I have bought over the years, and in fact, I threw away 2 rolls setting this up because life's too short to be sitting there playing with this washi tape that wouldn't come off the roll. It just kept tearing and kept breaking, and life is too short. Okay, looking good so far. And this is going to have to dry between, so there's going to be pauses in this, but you won't feel it. I'm just going to stop the camera and start it back up. And this is a process of being patient, and because if you rush it, I'm sure you could use the dryer. I just try not to. I think it's more, I just like the results better when you don't, but maybe that's just all in my head. The other thing I was going to say is these don't have to be perfectly shaped. Who says they have to? I mean, wonky hearts are great. Long live the wonky heart. Boy, is that my word of the day? Wonky. The 3rd time I've said that word. So this is pretty straightforward stuff. Just color by numbers. I feel like I'm back in kindergarten, coloring in a coloring book. The hardest part, I think, with some of these things is deciding what you're going to do, what shape, what color. But I'm really excited to see how the Rose of Ultramarine dries down with this kind of negative space application. I think this could be a really good use for granulating, or a really good application for granulating pigments. But we'll find out. It's all just paper, right? Right. It's just paper. Okay, we're getting close to the end of the 2nd layer. So layer 1 is a solid, super faint color. Layer 2, you've got 3 subject matters, 3 shapes. It could even be blobs, it doesn't matter. And another layer of color, a skosh darker than the previous one. Okay, so as quick as that was, we are done. And we just need about 10 or 15 minutes for this to dry down, and then we'll come back and do the next layer. Okay, see you in a minute. Okay, so we're back. It's all dry, and you can tell I've kind of missed some pencil lines here, but yeah, it is what it is, man. All right, so now for the next layer, we're going to put hearts, but we're going to put them in the spaces we haven't already put them. So let's just start off. Let's just go here first. And I'm going to try to be more delicate with my pencil lines this time, and less Godzilla. I'm going to put that one there, and then I think I'm going to put one kind of coming. No, let's go this way. Let's just make it all kind of all over. I think the more random it is, the more fun it becomes. And let's put this guy here. And I can feel myself being too heavy-handed. Yep, there I go, Bill. And then one more. Let's put the last one maybe here, peeking in from the side. Boom and boom. All right, let's knock back our pencil lines just a bit on number 2 and 3. And I'm just barely touching the paper here. I'm just kind of laying the eraser on the side. I hate these guys because they leave eraser schmutz when you're done, but whatever. All right, so I may switch from this big Neptune, even though I love it, to something a tad smaller. This one is crispy, meaning it's still got sizing in it, so apparently I haven't used it before. All right, I'll switch to this one. Oh, makes me nervous. I haven't used this one before much. Okay, well, we're gonna go for it. This is a Flydom art. It's a size 1. I have several of these. I like them because I am these are really expensive brushes, if you don't know, and I am terrible about not letting them dry properly and screwing up the ferrule and stuff. So these are acrylic. I mean, how bad can you ruin acrylic? You can't. All right, moving on. Oh yeah, there's color in this. I've definitely used this before and didn't wash it out. See, that's what I'm talking about. Let's clean that brush a little bit. All right, now fresh water. Oops, let's bring this back on camera. Don't need to see the brushes. Oh, by the way, I meant to mention earlier, this works for just about any season. I mean, because you could do this with, you know, a leaves, and trace these guys out, although they're a bit more intricate than hearts. Hearts is a more forgiving shape. Hand draw leaves, pumpkins, I mean, you name it, you can do it. So let's move on and see if we can get a color slightly darker than this, but still not full strength. And now what we're doing is we're voiding the first heart and the second layers of hearts. So now we're painting everywhere that is not got a heart outline. So I get to potentially fix this little schmutzy area I didn't do right before. And I'm just going to keep to the line I had before. And there's really it's not terribly complicated, other than you just got to remember, don't paint where the hearts are. Paint everything except layer 1 heart and layer 2 heart. And this gives you the opportunity to clean up your lines if you're so inclined. This might not be big enough of a brush, but I worried about getting in some of these little channels between the 2 hearts. I didn't want to run the risk of getting that brush. One of the reasons I like a round brush is see how that tip gets really pointy on you. That really helps when you're getting like that little nook right there, and that little nook and cranny of the heart right there is helpful with the good size, with a good tip like that. That's why I like rounds. They're good like that. All right, let's see. Pick up a bit more pigment. And we're going to go all the way over to the edge of this little new pencil line here. And you got to be delicate around the heart, but the rest of it you can just kind of go at it. This isn't hard. It's very beginner friendly, I think. It's one of my favorite things to do, and I think most people can have success. Ooh, that's a little pigmenty. I think most people can have good success with this right out of the gate, the very first time they try it. You know, some things you have to practice a few times before you get mastery of it. And boy, I can barely see those pencil lines now. I guess that's a good thing, huh? But I feel like this is one of those projects that you can get it right, reasonably right, the very first time you try it. The hardest part is remembering where not to paint. But your pencil lines will tell you that. Your pencil lines will say, stop, don't go any further. And I'm not sure if you can see those pencil lines on camera, but you saw me draw them, you know where they are. Don't want to get too dark here. Ugh. The lights are bright, angles are funky. The struggle is real. You don't have to be precise about this at all. If your hearts are imperfect, that's absolutely fine. I do like this choice of color. And just using one color, just in different strengths, makes this a super beginner-friendly project. You can make cards out of these, because you could do a big sheet and then cut them up. Or you could just set up a whole bunch of little ones in a row. And the only reason I tape them off for two reasons. One, to keep my paper from buckling. Sorry, it's going to buckle, to keep my paper reasonably flat when it buckles. Oh, I just went into the heart. Danger, danger. All right, so here's what you can do when that happens. You rinse your brush out, and then you take all the moisture out of it, and then you go in here and you do a erase, erase, erase. And hopefully that works. But if it doesn't, it doesn't. Ooh, and I'm off camera. Silly me. Here's where I got aggressive with my brush strokes there, and I went straight into across the pencil line. But anyway, if you're making like Valentine's cards for your kids for school, for their classmates, they could sit down and do these. Get some inexpensive watercolor paper and just go to town. It goes fairly quick. Or if you just send out cards to your friends and family. Or your sweetie. Sweetie pie? Oi. Okay, too much. Alright, I'm looking for that line. And I'm just going to, I can't see it, so I'm just going to make it up. Yeah, I'm being a little delicate, a little precious. Okay. I'm gonna try one more thing to get that out of there, and that's to take this paper towel and then just try to get right up to that edge and take it back. But whatever. Okay, so that's layer 3. Base layer, second layer, and now the third layer. We're going to let that dry, and then we'll come back and do another layer. I may be regretting the size of this heart because I'm running out of space pretty quick, but we'll see. All right, see you in a minute. Okay, we're back, and as I alluded to moments ago, I may have, pardon the pun, painted myself in the corner here with this size of heart, and I may do this again. In fact, I think I am going to do it again with some smaller ones like that's on this stencil, because now to put this size heart in here, now I have to, oh, you know what I could do is I could switch and put some smaller ones in here. No, I don't think so. I think I want to keep it all the same scale. Anyway, all right, so pardon my rambling, but I think what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to do like one here, which is fine. Maybe I'll try to make it like this so it's a little different angle than the others. So that solves that little spot. This spot right here needs something, but if I try to do something here, all right, I think what I'll do is I'll just do, oops, it helps if I stay on camera. I keep doing that, sorry. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to put pencil marks where the darkest pink is. I am not going to cross the other pencil mark lines, all right? So I've got to put there, and then one there, which means this is an area that will stay that heart shape, and then everything else around it won't. I hope this is going to make sense. I hope I'm not confusing you. This apparently was a bad size, and my tape is coming up. We're having a struggle moment, but we're going to persevere. All right, so then let's put another one like maybe in here. So again, not crossing the pencil lines. I'm just going to go on the darkest pink, and I'm going to do there, and then I'm going to do there, and then I'm going to do there. And then I'm going to color paint outside of those lines. And let's see how this goes. And you know what? It's only paper. If it ends up being a fail, this tape coming up is making me crazy. Because now I got a little bit of white showing because I had to push that tape back down. Good products. Good in, good out, right? All right, so we're going to go a little darker. Still not going full strength. I should probably dodge this line a little bit. Just a little. These pencil lines, I mean, just to keep from seeing too much. All right, let's start up here. So we're going to go darker here. And we're going to just experiment. It's just a play session, right? And hopefully it's just an inspiration for you to try something yourself. Maybe a color. Maybe this idea of negative space. I really enjoy negative space when I'm not going into the wrong spots. Don't look. Don't look. The reason I use the tape is later, when we're done, the tape will come off and it'll give you a nice white border, assuming it stays where it's placed. I know. All right. Rose Ultramarine is just off camera, but that's all right. You know what I'm working with. My dollar store plates, palettes. Yep. Liking that. I really don't want full pigment here. And because we're layering, even if I do go full pigment, or, you know, a stronger strength, I should say. I didn't mean to say it that way. I don't necessarily have to go a lot stronger in the pigment because we're laying over a previous pigment, which is automatically going to, over a previous layer, which is automatically going to darken it. So you can really save that full strength pigment for your last layer, which is what I just had to remind myself of. All right, so there's a heart here in the middle, if you remember, and what I'm trying to do now is go around it. I'm trying to pull some of this because I got too much water over there, too much puddling happening over there, so I might as well grab it and use it. Alrighty. And at the end, if you don't like your lines, you can always take a little fine liner, something that's waterproof, and clean up these lines on the hearts to make them stand out a little bit, which I probably will do. I'll probably ink them at the end. Oh, Lordy mercy. I went into that pencil line. I erased it too far. Dawn Mosley. Okay, let's see if we can get it out. I'm talking instead of paying attention, because I thought, that's a strange shape right there. Nope, it's not strange. You just did it wrong. And now I screwed that heart up too. Well, this is a lesson on how not to do it. No, this just shows you how this goes. It was supposed to be an easy beginner project, and I've made it anything but. We're gonna soldier on, people. All right, so what I'm gonna do is make that, I'm gonna come back and make that line a bit darker in a minute. I'm gonna keep moving on and let that paper dry a little bit, because that's where my line was, right there. And I over erased. This here is a lesson on how not to do it. Soften that a little bit. Talk less. Pay attention more. This tape is coming up. Use better tape. What you want when you're doing this, if you're using tape, is you want low tack, not no tack, not heavy tack. So finding that balance sometimes can be a struggle. All right, almost done here. Some of my paint's drying before my paper's drying before I get to it, so it's creating some hard lines, but there's no crying in watercolor. Okay, that's the next layer. Good, bad, and different. I still want to try to fix that one spot. I may do that off camera, but what I'm going to do here is wet that little spot and then blot it back with my paper towel and see if I can lighten that other half, that left half of the heart that I forgot to leave. I'm just putting a little bit of water down, and then let's find a clean piece of paper towel. And if you start messing with paper too much, you're going to screw the paper up. So, I mean, at some point, you got to stop. Okay, we're going to let that dry and we'll be back. We're back, and we're trying not to be annoyed with our errors. Here's one. Here's two-ish, three. You know, this just goes to show you that there's no way to make anything perfect ever. I mean, even if you work at it, you're just not going to be perfect. So stop trying. Embrace the imperfection, as Tim Holt says. But I'm very aggravated with myself for, I wish I could just take an eraser and go erase, erase, but I can't. So we're just going to push through, and we're going to say, all right, chalk it up to pay attention. On the subject size, number 1, don't overrun, and then don't forget where your pencil lines are, number 3. Last layer. So I'm really struggling on where to put these hearts, because I really do want that last layer to really, so I'm just going to fill in any space that is hasn't been mangled by me already. Yeah, I know, I'm really being harsh on myself. So I think I'm going to, because I've done a lot of the top parts of these hearts as partials, I think I'm going to do this part here. And I'm going to leave a fairly dark pencil line here in the hopes that I see it. So I'm going to do that there. And the tape isn't staying, but okay, whatever. I'm going to do that one there. Do I dare try to cross over several here? I probably should. All right, let's see if we can get this cleaned up. We're going to go here, and we're going to go there. Okay. Yep, I'm leaving that dark pencil line. You heard it here first. And then, what, maybe the tip down here. Yeah, maybe the tip all the way into there. Into there. That could be good. We'll see. Hopefully it's obvious what the shape is, but if it isn't, it isn't. Because at the end of the day, you can take this stuff and cut it up and turn it into other things. So it's, all right, so that's 1, 2, 3. I know I said only 3, but I'm going to go one more. I think I'm going to go one. Oh, nope, not you, big boy. I'm going to go one more right here. Boom and boom. Yeah, I said it. Boom and boom. All right. Now we're going to go. We're not erasing the pencil lines. And if I go silent now, it's because I don't want to overrun my pencil lines and only paint the areas that I just add. Okay, be quiet and paint. Hopefully you've got the idea now. There. My tape is coming up again. Okay, well, sorry I went silent on you there. I just was determined not to flub it up again. I still like it. I still think it's a great piece. I would like to redo it. I'd like a redo. I'd like a mulligan. I'd like a do-over. And I probably will. And I probably will both in this size and in this size. Just because I think it's a fun exercise. It's a fun practice. The other thing, I'm just going to let this dry. And then I will come back and I am going to do some line work around the hearts. Especially these outer ones. But probably all of them to some degree. You know, the thickness or whatever, the intensity of the lines may vary, but yeah, I'm pretty happy overall. You know, obviously these mistakes jump out at you, but I think with a little line work we can pull that back and make it more noticeable. I think the layers between this layer and this layer are not deep enough. I think that the contrast isn't there quite as much. This to this to this. Good. Sorry, fingers in the way. This one to layer technically 2. This is layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, layer 4. Those are great, but some of these over here get a little samey. But overall, I like it. So let this dry down again. I will come back with the pen and the tape pull, and we'll get the reveal. We have finally a dry piece of paper. We have some negative shape painting. Now we're going to do the fun part. We're going to take off the tape and get a little reveal-y moment here. And because this is not stuck very well, I have zero worries about it sticking where it shouldn't. Of course, you know, that's always when things go sideways, right? Oh, look, I did it crooked. Yay! My favorite. Yeah, you can trim it and fix it. All right. So as I mentioned before, this is bad tape. This tape is the rest of this roll is going in the trash. You can see this obviously was not something I bought for me. Anyway, I try to use stuff, but at this rate. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm taking a micron. Oops, I already had it open. A micron, it's archival, which means it won't bleed if it gets wet or whatever. Not that you want to lick your art, but this is an 05. It's probably my favorite size. And I think I'm just going to, you know, just do a small indication of a line here. Maybe a 3 or a 2 would be better, but I don't know. I'm just going to. Just feels like it would benefit from a little bit of line work. Sometimes when you're doing watercolor and things go a little, you lose some of the detail, and you know, sometimes watercolor just stands on its own, and sometimes you need to put, you know, the purist will say, oh no, don't. But I'm just a hobbyist. All right, let's see. And I like a little bit of line work when the watercolor isn't saying the story I want it to say. It helps your eye. It looks intentional. And sometimes I'll do a double line even. And I'm not sure if I want to line the edge or not. For the moment, I'm going to leave it off. I often sit with things too sometimes. I do something and then just come back to it. Fresh eyes and all. It's always helpful. But this way, if you do end up with any boo-boos we aren't talking about, I know I'm being petulant. I'm being a child. If you do end up with any boo-boos, this sometimes helps disguise them in a way. It's not that you're going to go over them and erase them somehow, but think the line just makes your eye more or less aware of the boo-boos, or in this case, maybe it highlights them. I don't know. Maybe I'm totally wrong. But like in the case here, I think that's really going to help that situation out. And I find if I pull rather than push, I get a better result with line work. At least for my hand. It's more steady if I pull. Okay. So, not mad about that. We'll just do a little quick sign and then call this done. And it's a little negative space painting. Hope you had fun. Hope you try it. Let me know. Thanks for sticking around. See you soon. Bye.